You're listening to the Reluctant Adult Podcast. If you like what you're hearing, follow us on social media and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. This is the way.
I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million.
It would be so awesome. It would be so
popular. You're gonna be popular.
Oh my god. 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 Oh my god.
At first it was fun, then scary, then fun again, then spooky, but in a fun way.
I love it!
The last car, that's the caboose. But I like to call it the caboosey.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of Reluctant Adult Conversations. This is the Ranger Stop edition. This week, I sit down with Jason Shepard. You may know him better as Gold Ranger 0406 on social media. Jason invited me to take part in Ranger Stop, the Power Rangers convention next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Jason and I got together to talk about Ranger Stop, nerd out on all Power Ranger stuff, talk about growing up with Power Rangers, trying to get those toys like it's Black Friday. And then we talked about what you can expect to see, to experience at Ranger Stop. So if you are a Power Rangers fan, this is the episode for you. If you are not, you might want to skip this one, but that's okay because it's a bonus pod. You can still look forward to the regular edition of the Reluctant Adult Podcast. Bill will be back. Bill, as you know, does not give a damn about Power Rangers, so he sat this one out. But as I mentioned, I am joined by Gold Ranger 0406. So, Jason, welcome to the conversation.
Appreciate you having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am so excited because we have a big event coming up, and it's not very long. It snuck up on us. Ranger Stop. It's morphin' time.
It is. It's time to get down. May the power protect you. Yeah, we've got Ranger Stop from the 10th to the 13th in November. I can't wait down here in Orlando. I'm so excited to be a part of that, and thank you for taking some time to have me on to talk about it.
Absolutely. We're going to get into Ranger Stop quite a bit because there's a lot to talk about. There are going to be so many big names from the Rangerverse attending this event. Now, for someone that's never been to a Ranger Stop convention, what can they expect? What is their day going to be like?
So what's really great about this is that it hones in not only on the Power Rangers, but they've also incorporated Ninja Turtles just recently, which is such an outreach to everybody because you have all the original OGs. I mean, like for me, I'm getting closer to that 40 mark, but you know, everyone under me they all remember, you know, being a chance to see Austin St. John's, the original Red Ranger, is going to be there.
Sure.
Zach, you know, Walter's going to be there, and you're going to have panels where you're not just going to be able to like get a signature and be like, "Yeah, I met this guy," but you're going to have really a great opportunity. Like, there's this thing. It's something they do every year. It's called After Dark, right? And it's when you can't bring any recording equipment in. But it's all the Rangers in just a one-on-one, like 10 or 15 of them talking about it, behind-the-scenes stuff, jokes, very adult content, and it's fun because you're just people at that point, and you're getting kind of. I remember the very first one I did, I completely bought Austin a beer. Like I was like, I want to buy you a beer. So he was like, I can do that. Bring it over. It was great. It was such a good time.
So this is the 9th Ranger Stop. How many have you been to?
7. This will be my 7th appearance, and this will be my 3rd between Atlanta and here. that I've actually participated in the cons.
Do we switch the locations from year to year?
They give you one in June in Atlanta because it's kind of like a central hub, but that's a Ranger stop and pop. So like they have 50% Rangers, and then like last year we had the voice to Spider-Man on the current iteration of the PS5 on there. So like it's just a hodgepodge, and like one of the Mighty Ducks characters was there this year. You know, like So it's kind of a little bit of everybody. They kind of try to incorporate that pulp culture along with the main backbone of Power Rangers.
Sure. Well, it sounds a lot like how Power Con started. It started as just Masters of the Universe, and then it grew to include other properties, and now it's just sort of like a catch-all. Like it's up there with San Diego Comic-Con as one of the big ones. So it sounds like that. But the nice thing about Ranger Stop is it is all about Power Rangers. So if you are a Power Rangers fan, you got to be there. And it's nice that there are other things, like obviously people who like Power Rangers probably like Ninja Turtles. Like we grew up through all of this. But if this is like, just looking at the guest list, like you named off some of the people: Walter Jones, Austin St. John, Karen Ashley, Steve Cardenas. Is it Cardenas? Cardenas? How do you pronounce Rocky's name?
Cardenas, yeah.
Cardenas. He posted on one of our videos on Instagram today about how the remastered Red Ranger doesn't include the Austin St. John portrait. It doesn't include that civilian head. And he said, well, it should have included Rocky then. Well, I can't argue with that. If Rocky wants a Rocky head, we got to give him a Rocky head.
Well, I mean, technically he did get his very own head variant when they did the Ninja Rangers. So, I mean, like, you know, can't be too...
He's got a few. He's got a few. That first one, the Zeo Blue head, not so great. They blew that one. But the I don't know what they call him, the shiny, glittery Red Ranger that was Rocky, that was a much better head sculpt. Yeah. So they did him okay. They did him fine. So what are you looking forward to the most about this Ranger Stop?
With you, there is going to be a couple of the artists who have done some variant covers for Boom Studios, and they're becoming more active in the Ranger Cons, which is really great. And one of them in particular made like an exclusive only comic book for Ranger Stop Atlanta, and I missed him by this much. I was doing so much that day. I tried to get back to him, and the fact that I have another chance, but the other big one that I'm going to have to get a signature for is going to be Paul. It's going to be Bulk. Bulk has done, I have to give credit, like, and I'm really going to dive deep here for all the Ranger fans. Like, Bulk was not only, he has the most airtime of any cast member, but he's also two Rangers now because Hyperforce got canonized in. So he's a Yellow Ranger, but he's not the big, goofy, like he's a decent, humble dude. He's a completely different personality. And then you find out that in the Darkest, in Prelude, and also in the Darkest Hour, that now he's an actual Red Ranger. Like he's like legitimately a Ranger. I double checked the color, but yeah, he's got it's crazy. So I want him to sign one of the comic books, especially because they did the Coinless comic, which was kind of like their offshoot. And I really want to see what he thinks about that. I can't wait to see how he feels because he started as a goofy, silly, and I'm a bigger guy too, right? So I appreciate that they took the big guy and not only gave him one power, but gave him two. And it's like, hey,
there you go.
I like that. So that's the actor I'm seeing the most, though, for sure.
I don't know if you're familiar with Zeo to Hero, another podcast that I'm a big fan of. They are the Bulk and Skull of podcasting, and they've told me that the Bulk and Skull actors, Paul and Jason, are just sweethearts. They're great people to be around. And they were actually cool with them calling themselves the Bulk and Skull of podcasting. So that's good to hear that they're giving back to the fans.
I think Paul really does that a lot because, you know, he, in my opinion anyways, because he didn't really get paid a lot to do that Hyperforce, the role-playing thing that they did for a long period. It ran 3 seasons. And, you know, he's every time, I saw this thing and I didn't get to see it in person, but I saw the video replay of him being given like the purple helmet, and like how like he was just like, oh, and I was like, I know how that feels, because we just gave Walter in Atlanta, we gave him an Omega Black Ranger helmet. They don't make these helmets, and the actors are, you know, and he was like, oh, I'm so big about being in this, and it's so cool. And, you know, and the fact that, you know, they, you know, just shows you the commitment of the fans. Like, everybody's got their favorite, right? Like,
sure,
you know,
yeah.
Obviously, everyone would go, oh, Jason, Gold Ranger, you know, that's obvious who your favorite Ranger is. But I bet you, I would trip you out if I told you who it really was.
Well, which Gold Ranger though, or is Gold Ranger not even your favorite?
No, so like originally, I picked up the name because it's kind of a quick, funny story. I always enjoyed keeping like Power Rangers into it because I've always been so close to Power Rangers. I've never grown up from it, and I just love it all to death. And the only one available was Gold Ranger for back in like when the AOL days. Now I know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember.
So I've carried that name with me forever. And that was right around the time Jason took over as the Gold Ranger for Zeo. But really, in all honesty, you know, now that we've kind of had 30 years of iterations that I've been, you know, lucky enough to kind of grow and be a part of, at the end of the day, it's the Psycho Rangers for me, hands down. Red Psycho is one of my favorite. My wife calls me like a little bit of a oddball because I have like everybody collects the Power Rangers, but I have every villain. Every villain.
Oh,
like
okay.
I have
every villain.
I have every Finster that has ever been made. Finster was like my claim to fame. Like
I was gonna say, here's my Amazon exclusive Lightning Collection Finster. He was like $10. He's like $10 right now on Amazon. This is an amazing figure.
It is.
So much detail, articulation. He take his apron off, he could kick any figure's ass. He's got all the joints.
And I love how much they added the detail, and they continued that in the line, too. If you look at the Minotaur figure that came out, it came with a little clay guy. And
nice.
So, like, it added more to Finster as a whole. But I probably have, I would say, like 26 different character or iterations of Finster through the years.
There we go. There's our putties that Finster makes.
Yep.
So you got the old Bandai... like the big 8-inch villains?
Yes, I do. I even have King Sphinx in a box still, believe it or not.
Oh, you still mint in box. Very nice. Yeah. Wow. So I remember, like, I was a fan from day one too. I'll be 40 this year too, so we're right around the same age. I remember the struggle to get these toys when they first came out. Like, this is Tickle Me Elmo level I think times 100. Like, we would call Toys R Us. I remember one of my favorite memories is we would call Toys R Us every night and be like, do you have the Dragon Zord? And finally one night they were like, we sure do. And my mom's like, let's go. And we drove to Toys R Us at night and got the Dragon Zord.
So funny enough, my mom was at a Black Friday sale at a Toys R Us, and she put her hand legitimately, and this is how she tells the story. So she put her hand on a red and a black Ranger. This lady came up right behind her, snuck the Black Ranger out of her hand. And like my mom was, and this was before Black Friday was like, you know, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I was about to throw down for this Power Ranger, so you better enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah. Was that the original, or was that the one like that did the karate chop that came later?
No, the one that did the karate chop, you know. So,
okay.
Yeah.
The thing about those toys that always bugs me is they put their logo on their chest, which is not accurate to the show.
Right.
That was just like a licensing thing. They're like, kids won't know. We got to put their dinosaur on there. And then even worse than that, the Tommy figure, that Green Ranger, they didn't use the dragon coin symbol. They made up this like dragon Godzilla looking thing that doesn't appear anywhere in Power Rangers. It's just entirely for the licensing. And even as a kid, I was like, what is this? This looks weird as hell.
And then what was really funny, if you think about it, they changed tactics, because then when the White Ranger came out, it didn't have a symbol on it. So I feel like they got
yeah.
the message, right? Like
Yeah.
we could color code all by ourselves.
Uh-huh. But it's still, did the White Ranger, so they all their belts had that red orb instead of a coin. It was like a red translucent orb. Did the White Ranger have that too, or did they give him the correct belt symbol?
No, it was still the bubble, still the little
bubble,
red.
yeah.
Yep, still the bubble.
That because the 8-inch Green Ranger did not come with a dragon dagger, correct? He just had the blade blaster like everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
and at least the White Ranger had Saba, so it was a huge improvement, and that always bothered me. Like, I guess Hasbro now, like, just release that figure and like give the green diamonds. Don't have like the diamonds on the boots and the gloves like the other Rangers. Like, give the Green Ranger the proper gloves. Like,
Right.
I would buy that. Make that a con exclusive, a one-off.
There are a lot of people right now who would eat that Tommy figure up, I'm telling you.
I think so, yeah. Complete that, because they did like the flip heads, which was fine. But I would like go a step further, go back to the original Power Ranger figures in America, those 8-inch. They were so weird too, because there was like nothing else in that scale. That like they just like were on an island by themselves.
And even the monsters didn't like, and I always, like, in my mind, it always made me think, like, did they make them this big because the Megazord, the monsters could stand up against the Megazords, right? Like, because right now we have a reasonable height difference in the Megazords and the actual villains. But back then, we just have, like, so, like, well, now everybody's just the same size. So, now we're going to be fine going forward. And, just play along, guys. It's gonna be fine.
I guess it was nice because the Green Ranger, there was that scene in the Green with Evil miniseries where he is monster size, so you could have him face off against. What is the lore behind that? Because like, is that a power that he always had, or was that something that Rita gave him? Because it's like I would be busting that out every time.
No, it was just something so it's only appeared twice where a Ranger's grown bigger. It was the Green with Evil miniseries, but that was because of the wand. And with Zeo at the end, Trey from Triforia, after he gets the powers back, he uses the power of the staff, so still kind of wand staff, same thing, to make them grow so they could take on, the Machine Empire, which only 2 times you've ever seen that. But basically, she throws down the wand, it cracks open the ground and shoots up the smoke, and it's the smoke. It hit him in the face and it made him grow just like all the others, so he was just a minion at that point.
That's a good trivia question. Who were the 2? Like, people would obviously get the Green Ranger, but maybe they wouldn't get the second one. The only 2 Rangers to ever grow. Man, just thinking back to that original series, it was so unlike anything on TV, and for good reason. It wasn't shot. The action footage was not shot in America, so obviously it looked different. It felt different. It is different. If it was produced in America, it would not have looked like that. It probably would not have been as action-packed, like as violent. It probably just, that would not have happened. So it was so different. It was so appealing. Having those giant robots combining, like, oh my God, it was candy. Just immediately, I was like, this is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like the best of both worlds, right? Like, you kind of got like the team, so you got the turtles in there, like, that teamwork aspect.
Sure.
And then you got Voltron, so you got the flashy colors with the big robot. And, but now it was relatable because they were all kids, right? And I think some of the Voltron cast were kids, but I'm not a Voltron fan. So
the Voltron was a cartoon. Like, this was live action.
This was live action.
The other thing that made it so different.
Well, and what's really funny is it came out like, so I don't know if you know this or not, but Saban and Stan Lee came up with like an agreement, right? And he traded Spider-Man for Power Rangers, and the Bioman was the one that they were gonna really launch. Yeah. They made like a tape and they showed it around everywhere for years and just couldn't get it.
They had the same character names. Or like similar, like they reuse those for Power Rangers, like Billy Cranston.
A lot of it was, and so they changed because of this, because of the type of series it was. And if you've ever watched some of the recordings that they've done from the backdrops of like the outtakes of them like actually messing around and getting ready, like there's the fifth episode, Under Pressure, where Jason fights King Sphinx, and they're sitting in the big Coliseum. I remember watching them going, okay, well, this is what we're gonna. It's all in Japanese, so you can't really understand what they're saying, but you can kind of figure it out by the hand movements, right? So they're like, you jump here and go far, and it's like, then you kind of put it into reference of what they actually took out of that. And I'm like, these guys took a beating. Like, they didn't care. Yeah. But it was it's held at such a higher esteem by that point on their side of the fence, the Sentai footage. So like, here it's kind of like for a little while, it was kind of like, oh, if you got Power Rangers, that's kind of done for you, right? You're not going to really go too much further in your acting career. But Sentai's, it was an honor to become, one of the Rangers, because it was such a big deal. You were idolized by kids. And, mean, we have 30 years, but they have almost 55 years worth of footage. Yeah. So, I mean, they had a little more dig into it, which is why I think when they switched over to this piece, it made such a difference, because they were like 10 or 15 years into it. They had the formula. They figured it out. And when they made the change, bam, there you go. We've got Power Rangers, like.
The thing is, I think if they had adapted any earlier, I don't think it would have worked. I think you had that perfect storm of, this is a dinosaur theme. The costumes were so simple that, Americans could understand it. Like, you have the more complicated costumes, and it to someone who's not used to seeing that, it just looks like sort of a jumble. But you had, very recognizable diamond patterns, dinosaur theme. I think it had to be, what is the Sentai version of Mighty Morphin?
Blue Ranger.
Zoo Ranger, yeah.
Ranger,
I think it had to be that. And if it was anything else, it wouldn't have worked, and we wouldn't be here today 30 years later talking about it.
Well, and I have to support that, because they pushed that to its limits. Like, I don't know if you like fun trivia, because I'm full of it, right? Let's talk Power Ranger trivia. When they expanded the White Ranger's role, they actually went back to the people who were making the Sentai footage and asked them to shoot additional White Ranger footage. Like, it was a thing. Like, they were like, we're out of White Ranger footage, because he was only in like a handful of episodes. And it's kind of like the Green. Yeah, same thing with like the Green Ranger. It was like, but this was a much smaller amount of reel. That's the reason, as you see into the third season, you see more and more and more of them in the suit actors on our side. And I mean, there was an obvious difference between their.
Yes. That's one of the things where it's like, I wonder, as a kid watching this, did I wonder why Tommy's shield kept changing? And I was like, why is it so floppy here? And then it's that nice rigid, from the Sentai footage. Like, how did I? Because they never talked. They didn't nobody was like, "What's wrong with your shield? What happened? Do you forget to starch it or something? It's looking a little not so great." But like, obviously, we knew something was going on. But I don't know how I came to realize that this was Japanese footage. Like, there was an internet at some point, but I don't think when I first started watching it in 93, I don't think there was internet then.
No, not like we have it today. Like, the connection pieces are not the same. Like, you'd have to dig for that information and know where you were digging at that point. Yeah. For me, it was, I'll be 100% honest with you, just on that vein. It was when I started to see more of the American actors, because they always had the thick neck guards. Makes sense, right? Like, they always looked like they were wearing like styrofoam around their neck,
like they broke their necks. Yeah, it was a neck brace. Yeah,
right. It was super thick, and especially when they had the helmets off, you would be like, "Hey, what is that? Like 3 inches of foam around your neck? What's going on?"
Why was it like that? Why was it so different?
So it was the way that the helmet sat for the people, and then because they would be in the helmet so much, they would actually want to wear the helmet, so then it would protect. Like, I had the same issue with my daughter. Like, there's nothing, even if you dull the edge, there's nothing stopping you from getting hit in the neck. So you have to put something on there, like something thick.
And in Japan, they didn't care. They would just deal with it. They wouldn't complain.
Well, because the majority of them were stunt actors, so that was their job. Their job was pain, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we benefited from it.
Some side note is the reason the Shield went floppy is because Henson Saban decided that he was going to cheap out on shipping when he sent all the props over. So like in transit, we had the nice thick firm gold shield.
Yeah.
Firm, yeah, I'll go firm, right? You know,
Sure.
not floppy. Doesn't need starch in
Not
this.
floppy.
So,
No.
And so like, but because it was shipped so poorly, it shattered. And basically,
what was it made of? Ceramic? How did it shatter?
It was just something fell on nobody has the full story, but something fell on top of it, and it was in 4 different pieces. Yeah.
And there was just one? They only made one?
Yeah. Well, that's how they saved on money over there. They were.
Oh my God.
They take better care of their stuff than we do, I guess.
That's so funny.
That's
but
why.
At least when he became the White Ranger, they were able to match it, and they didn't have to make one out of yarn. Or I don't know what that would have looked like. Crochet his vest there.
Well, he was JDF. His 1 year anniversary of passing is coming up, and he was a big advocate for all Power Ranger things. And I remember. He fought for so many things because he was tired of hearing the backlash. I can't tell you how many cons he was at where he was like, "You sent me with a silver strip in an episode of Dino Thunder back in 2004, and I'm still hearing about it."
Yeah.
So it's I feel like he had a lot to do with that and they had a bigger budget at that point. They had money. They had movie money. So like bring that prop over and. Sure. Hey, we'll make it look good.
So we're in a rebuilding year.
Yes.
You hear about this in sports. It's a bridge year. There's no new series currently in production. Part of that is because we just left a writer's strike. We're still currently in an actor's strike. So officially, we don't know what the future holds for Power Rangers. Now, obviously, Hasbro did not buy this franchise. They did not spend all this money just to do a couple seasons and then call it a day. They have grand plans for Power Rangers, and we don't really know what those plans are. There's been some talk about a reboot. I think that's where all our heads are. Do you know anything that maybe I don't? Maybe has there been any movement on that? Or are we all still waiting for the strikes to end before anything can really start moving?
Well, I know because of the strikes, they were talking about doing a movie. And the movie was going to be at least 3 tiers. And there was slight talks of taking that down and scaling it to Netflix. Mm-hmm. And now with the writer's strike, they changed, hands a couple of times. So they are still working on it actively, but it won't pick up again until middle of 2024. That was the last official cap on. But at the same time, I see you, Hasbro. I really do. I see you because everybody was jumping up and down and saying, hey, you need to do something with the comic books. You need to do something with the comic books. And slowly, just in the last year, if you look on the back of a lot of the comic books now, I'm going to show you real quick. It now says Hasbro on the back, right? Legitimately it does. And they're moving in that direction. And we have now everybody's fever dream is that they're going to pull Shattered Grid out and drop it on live action. That's what everybody wants. But considering you would have to recast Tommy no matter what, I think they're going to hard pass on that. But if you were smart, what you would do is you would pick up the Omega Rangers. That's, in my opinion, the smartest thing to do because it's recognizable Rangers, because it was Trini. You could even have Min in there, being the yellow, and then Austin come back for a couple bit if everything kind of works out with his piece of the real life. And then then you could have Walter come back as well, So that would be an interesting thought process. But I think that's what they're doing.
You'd like to see them continue the legacy, not do a hard reboot where they're recasting these original or they're recasting the characters we know or creating brand new characters. That's your preference. You want?
Yes, absolutely. Because even now, if you're advocate of the comic books, the majority of the Rangers who started, because there were only 3 in the beginning, the majority of the Omega Rangers now have changed roles or gotten somebody new underneath their color scheme. So like we have the blue is a cat, the yellow is an alien, which had an interesting like growth issue problem, and then now Trini is the leader, and then Zach is still black. He's still in black. So but they're changing it. Black don't crack, man. He's got the skill.
We are a week away. Is that correct? When this airs on Friday, we're going to be a week away.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we gotta go. So if you don't have your tickets yet, how do you get your tickets to Ranger Stop?
You've got to go to rangerstop.com and use Squad at the time of checkout and get yourself 10% off. That is the claim to fame. Not only are you helping everybody here on TikTok, Ranger Nation, but also through Instagram and Facebook. So if you haven't gotten them, there is your time.
Use code SQUAD, save yourself some money, help everybody out. So we're at the DoubleTree near SeaWorld. I'm gonna have my SeaWorld passes. I don't know if you have yours. We can go check out Shamu afterwards if you'd like.
Oh yeah, let's go do it.
They have some. They honestly have. This might sound weird, but SeaWorld has the best hot dog that you're gonna find. I don't know. I don't want to know why it's so good, but I will say that hot dog is delicious.
It's a dangerous question. It's better not to ask how the sausages are made.
Better. I don't want to know. I don't want to know, but it is what it is. Okay. And then we're actually, if you follow the Reluctant Adult podcast on TikTok, we're going to give you a chance to get into Ranger Stop for free. And you're also going to get your own comic book. So look out for that video. It'll be very easy. We'll just, we're not going to make you jump through any hoops, but look out for that video. Yeah. So this year we've talked about the guest. What else, other than, you have opportunity to meet these people, have something signed? Are there any events happening other than panels?
I always have a VIP dinner. Now, the VIP dinner is such a great experience because this gives you a formal sit down. It comes along with the VIP pass. And of course, if you do use Squad, you get 5% off for that ticketed price as well. Then they have the After Dark party, which we kind of talked about a little bit. Then they have the actual after party. There's going to be a karaoke style event going on. So I might have to bust out some of my pipes.
There we go. Yeah.
See what we can do there. And then of course they always have the cosplay competition, which some of the best talent. I've never seen anyone more dedicated. Like, I have this really great story. So Hector, which is the original Green Samurai Ranger, and last year we were all dressed out. I had my Zed cosplay on, and I was just like, I am the king of all evil, And we had it started out with just a few people, a few friends of mine. I'm like, let's get together and let's take some pictures, right? Let's really ham it up because that's why we're here,
Yeah.
So it turned into over 30 people, 30 different Rangers. We had a Tengu, we had a Phantom, we had so many different people. And he's coming out and he's like, you need to let me photobomb this right now. And he comes running across the courtyard and we're all like, is that the Samurai Green? And we're like, yeah, man. So it was such a great, and he's local too. I don't know if you know that, but he grew up in the local area, in the Orlando local. So he's a local boy. So that's even more kind of like a nod in our favor. Be like, hey,
sure,
we got a couple of Power Rangers from Florida. So you get great opportunities like that because not only do you get to meet the people, and if you're looking for toys or collectibles or a piece that you're missing, this is a great time to do it. I got a sword to the original Megazord. It was in way better shape on eBay.
Nice chrome on that.
Yes, the slick chrome would have cost me $50, right?
Yeah, sure.
I got it for $3.75.
What?
I'm
That's a
like,
steal.
"What?"
Call the police.
I did. I was like,
That's great.
run. But it
Right,
was,
yeah. Not going to question that.
And you just
Growing
never
up-
know what you're going to find.
You never know. Growing up, so I have 3 siblings. I'm the oldest. The next oldest is my sister, 4 years younger. She loved Power Rangers too. So we were not good at sharing. So we have 2 sets of almost everything. But you can tell which toys are hers because she took a Sharpie and she wrote the letter M for her name on all of them. So like I have them now, but it's like the Megazord like on the pterodactyl has like a big M. I'm like, well, I know that one's not mine. That one's a little more beat up.
I'm telling you, like, and they're getting harder and harder to find. So, you know, a lot of stuff like that, like, my three, that's one of my biggest, that completed my Megazord, but I actually have, a 93 Megazord in box.
Oh, nice. Are
And
you
it's
sure
one
it's
of
in
my-
there? Are you sure it's in there?
I opened it.
You opened it? Okay, I was like, did you put it through the X-ray machine at the airport?
No, because this was such a big deal to me because, like, I was, like, recollecting this particular piece, and I had I'm not a sticker fan, so I don't put stickers on any of my, on my collectibles. I think they take away from the aesthetics, and they just fade and get horrible over time, and then everyone's like, oh, well, you could just buy new ones and replace them. I'm like, or I could not use them at all. You know?
Just not use them.
So, like, my thing is that if I was going to buy one, I wouldn't mind if it was missing a piece or two. Right, but there were things it couldn't be missing. I had to have the tusks for the mastodon. I had to have the horns for the triceratops, and I had the wings for the pterodactyl. And and as long as the stickers were in the bag still, so it had never been opened, right? I would be willing to buy it. The only thing this was missing was the sword. And the guy was at a con. It was at an Atlanta con, one of the Ranger stops in Atlanta. And he was like $250, and I'm like, okay, that's a fair price.
For the sword or for the Megazord minus the sword?
The Megazord minus the sword.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And the styrofoam's in good tact. The Zords like have never been taken out of the box. Like you can tell they're still crisp, and you know. That's so nice. Like for me, it's like it sits there and it's just like, even the box is in good shape. Just one little tear on the top, but it's 30 years old. I'm going to give it a pass. I'm going to say it's okay for the price point they want now.
Yeah. There cannot be too many of those still in the world, like unopened or like in the box, just like the box itself. There can't be too many of those like in still like usable condition.
Oh, it's one of my prized possessions, 100%.
I would love to have that and the Dragon Zord, you know, with a little window with the Green Ranger sticking out of it. I would love to have that on display one day. I have my Dragon Zord up behind me. I don't know if you can see him in your shot. Can you see him up there? Maybe not. He's up there somewhere. So that one's mine. My sister's is somewhere else because, you know, it's got the M on it. I'm really looking forward to Ranger Stop because I get to be part of the show. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only do we have the Reluctant Podcast joining us, bringing all the amazing things about collectibles, especially some tips, some tricks, some things. If you're following along, you're going to know some of them, but you're going to get to meet the man himself. So got to be there for that. Then we're going to have the beautiful Beauty Baba Yagi talking about cosplay. Mad shout out to her, you know, always showing people how you can take almost anything and turn it into something amazing. Kevlock's going to be there talking about 3D prints, and he won't be selling helmets this time. I just want to make sure I put that out there, but I am just going to pivot a minute, and I'm going to say there will be cool little 3D print items that you will be able to customize. Nice.
I like that.
I mean, it's fully... No, it doesn't work. I'm just kidding.
You can't play that tune.
No, I can't. But Kevlar's going to be there, and I'm super excited to have him there. And then, of course, the big draw, besides obviously the Reluctant Podcast, is going to be Phantom Rangers making a special appearance all the way down from California in the Phantom suit to talk about Elite Force.
There we go. All right. It's a little something for everybody. If you like Power Rangers and you're gonna be in the Orlando area, you gotta come. I mean, there's no reason not to. This is the place to be. You got 3 shots, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come on, get in there. Come on, make it happen.
Most of the guests are going to be there for the majority of the run, so definitely come out. The Wild Force, they have a huge piece of the Wild Force cast. I just have to give them a shout out because they're some of the most humble in-person people you'll ever meet. Super great. Come and see us Saturday at 11 for the panel. If you want to come and say hi and chill out, I'd love to, sit back. Come check me out at my table. We're going to have all kinds of really cool things there as well. Kind of doing a little self-promotional plug there. But that's okay.
That's what it's for.
And, not only, and I do just want to mention this too, at the table, if you are trying to catch up on your collection, the good people at Acme Comics here in the local Longwood area are going to present us with opportunities for you to pick up some of the more recent issues that have come out. Obviously, we're all in the prelude to Darkest Hour, and we're seeing all that craziness unfold. So if you want to, stop by and, let me know. You can even message me on TikTok. Say, hey, I'm looking for something. I'll put it aside for you. But yeah, guys, it's going to be an exciting adventure. And I'm hoping all of you are going to be able to join us. And if you haven't, again, not too late to get your ticket or win a ticket from us.
Or win a ticket, yeah. But don't wait for that. Just go buy your ticket. Yeah.
That's right. And always,
because you got to arrange your flight if you're not from the Florida area and you're coming down from Maine or something. You got to book that flight now so you're here.
And we
just
still
stay
have
in the hotel.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Stay in the DoubleTree. It's beautiful.
It really is. Really great spot, and there's still a couple of rooms left in the DoubleTree. And Mikey and everybody at Ranger Stop puts on such a great show every year. It's not just about hanging out with people. You make friends. I have friends from I've had 7 years of friendships that I've grown and really just stayed connected with. And it's like kind of an opportunity for all of us to get together and just enjoy something that we're all passionate about, which how can you not be passionate about the Power Rangers? We've stuck around for 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Then come on now, make a friend. What's a better plug than that? All right, Jason, anything else that you would like everybody to know before we see everybody at Ranger Stop next weekend?
Only thing I have to say, if you're not following me, are the Reluctant Podcast. Definitely hit that like button on there or follow back at Gold Ranger 0406. And as always, Rangers, let the power protect you.
There it is. All right, everybody. Thank you, Jason, so much for joining me. Bill's not here. This is our special spin-off show, the Reluctant Adult Conversations. We dusted it off for this special occasion because I love talking to Rangers. Bill could care less. So anytime I can talk to Jason or the guys from Zeo to Hero, I love to do it. Love to nerd out on Rangers. Jason, thank you again, and we'll see everybody. We're going to see everybody at Ranger Stop. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining me on Reluctant Adult Conversations, and thank you for inviting me to join you at Ranger Stop next weekend. I am legitimately very excited for this. This is like the first real con I've ever been to, and to be a guest on a panel is just very exciting. I can't deny that I hope that this is the start of something. Maybe you'll see me headlining San Diego Comic-Con in the near future. I don't even know what that looks like. Can you host a convention? Are there hosts? Maybe not. So if you are in the Orlando area next weekend, November 10 through 12, stop on by. Jump on rangerstop.com. Enter that keyword squad. Save yourself 10% on your tickets. I want to see you there. I want to see all the Ranger, what do we call ourselves? Ranger heads? Power Ranger fans? I don't know. Is there a name for us, like Trekkies or Trekkers? Yeah, so I hope I'll see everybody there. If you want to win those free tickets, hop on our TikTok at the Reluctant Adult Podcast. And, may the power protect you, right? That's what we say. All right, everybody. Until next time, we don't want to grow up, but we already did. Have a great week, everybody.
I still want